Hello and welcome to my breakdown of Legend of Total War's video that he put out, where I took screen caps of certain abilities and unit cards, and I'm going to be talking about them here and show them off in a few sections of his video. So first off, we're going to start with barriers. So the barriers for Tzeentch work in a way where that if you have a unit of 120 units, they don't have individual shields, they all have the same shield. Meaning the shields will protect the entire unit until it's gone. On your screen, you'll see a couple of instances where there is recharging of the shield and how fast the shield is going down on a certain unit. And what I've noticed is that if you have more entities, the higher your shield is. The lower amount of entities will make it so that your shield will deplete very fast. And from what I also could gather, it will take about like 5 seconds after you have been attacked or been engaged in melee, and that your shield will start recharging a little bit at a time. Now, this isn't the full strength of the shield, as we've seen that lords are all like level 6 to level 8, meaning this is really early game, meaning that Tzeentch hasn't had a lot of time to do a lot of research to improve these shields and change these shields. Also, this means that Tzeentch hasn't had time to spread his corruption to make it so that he has the highest corruption, so that he gets the shield improvements that he gets from campaign. Now, I say take this as a very important thing because these shields can only be better. These shields are probably roughly 25% of the health that you are shown, but it is on top of the health you are shown. You are not shown the actual shield strength and how much it has, but you are shown how much health the actual unit has. So some of these units have 40,000 health HP pools, meaning, and they are quite a few units, meaning they are probably the same amount of health as some other units in the game without barriers, but these units have barriers on top of their health, which just makes them stronger than those other units. Now, some of the stats we will see don't seem that strong, but if you do it with the barrier and that the barrier be improved and how fast they actually killed some units, you will see that there's a lot of damage here. Now we'll move on to the abilities, the special army abilities that he gets. Now, I put out a video of the Ogres unit cards. What I didn't realize is that each army so far of Ogres and Tzeentch have special army abilities. I saw Oakley's videos like literally 5 minutes after I published my Ogre video, and then I saw some of the army abilities for Ogres. Now, Tzeentch's army abilities become available after using a certain amount of magic. So, the first ability that unlocks is called Arcane Surge. It gives you 80% power recharge and 0.3 power reserves per second. So, there's a way to recharge your power reservoir by using this ability. It lasts 14 seconds and it has to be cast on a caster. And then its cooldown is 60 seconds. I don't know whether or not you'll be able to repeat using this or not. It seemed like in the video that after you use the 3 abilities, you will not be able to use the three again. Now, the Arcane Surge could be useful for increasing your reserves per second. Now, this might be an inclination where how Arcane Conduit is going to work in the future, where it's going to do recharge rate and increase your reserves, and it might just not be there for be a false thing. It might be a real thing. Now, we look at the second ability, which is Bolt of Change. Bolt of Change is a bombardment of a single target, it looked like, and it deals 672 damage and 100% of its armor piercing. It's magical, and then explosive damage of 132, and that is armor piercing too. And it gives sundered armor. It has a medium strike and an unlimited range, of course. So this ability could be really, really good, but at the same time, it's free magic, so might as well use it for the free damage. I don't know. I don't think it's good against single entities, but we'll see. But that damage is incredible. That is incredible damage. Now we're going to move on to the third ability, which is Storm of Fire. This is a very good ability according to Legend of Total War. As you will see, is a massive, massive just damaging spell. Like, so many things are bombarding it. And it has 112 range damage, and that's armor piercing. It's fire, and it's magical, and it has 90 explosive damage, and that's all armor piercing. Now this makes sense in a way of how many bolts are coming down, but this just seems like the same ability as Tzeentch's ability that we've seen already, where how much damage comes out and all that. And that is a spell, and this is an armored ability after you use a certain amount of mana. Now, let's just go into some of the spells, since I've been talking about them. First you see on your screen is Pink Fire of Tzeentch. It is 6 mana cost. I also like to note all the lords were levels 6 to 8, so this might be a reduction, it might not, we do not totally know. But from what we see, this is 6 Winds of Magic, which just seems really reasonable with the new system. It deals 16 damage per second, it's 0% armor piercing, it's fire and magical, duration is 2 seconds, and it applies Warp Flame. So it's a normal tier drop, you'll see it on the screen, and it's not a bad breath spell, but considering it does 16 damage per second and it lasts 2 seconds, there's probably more damage calculation that's going out there. We'll see. Next, the spell is going to be Treason of Tzeentch. Treason of Tzeentch is an 8 mana spell. Could be 10. We don't know. And is a hex area of minus 16 leadership to the enemy. The duration is 20 seconds, and that doesn't seem too bad of a spell for 8 Winds of Magic. If you gain them close, could be good. Now, next is Gleam of Magic. Gleam of Magic, not Gleam. It is 8 Winds of Magic, and it gives you 80% power recharge and 0.1 reserves per second. And for the enemy, it'll do minus 40% power recharge, and reserves per second is minus 0.1. So you're getting 0.1 from their 0.1. It lasts for 23 seconds. This means you will effectively earn 2.3 man reserves, and you will take 2.3 reserves from them. This is 8 Winds of Magic. I do not think this is worth it for 8 Winds of Magic to get 2.3 Winds of Magic from your enemy or to yourself. That's not worth. It's probably going to end up being 2 Winds of Magic, not 2.3. So, I don't know. I don't think this is good. When me and my friend finally get our hands on it, we're going to test it and see how it goes. And see whether or not Gleam of Magic is actually worth or not. Next and final spell that we haven't seen is the Magic Missile Blue Fire of Tzeentch. It's 5 Winds of Magic, and the range damage is 70 with 28% armor piercing, fire magical damage, and the explosion damage of 40, 25% is armor piercing, and applies Warp Flame. As you will see on your screen, it comes with many, many, many missiles. So each missile, I'm guessing, deals 70 damage and 40 damage, explosive damage. So that'll be a lot of damage going out. But other than that, I just say this is a good spell. If it's not reduced in cost, then we can reduce it more, which is good. Now, we are going to go over some little nuances, like Kairos' spells that he has. He has Harmonic Convergence, Regrowth, and Pendulum, along with Gleam of Magic, Blue Winds, Blue Fire of Tzeentch, and we see the Tzeentch's Firestorm as one of his other spells. I completely forgot about Tzeentch's Firestorm, so let's talk about it right here. You will see on your screen Tzeentch's Firestorm, where it takes a little while to start, and then it comes from the three tornadoes come from the middle of the starting area, and that's about it. Otherwise, we've already looked at the card, so it doesn't matter too much. But going back to Harmonic Convergence, Regrowth, and Pendulum being on Tzeentch's casting part, that doesn't make sense since he's supposed to only have one spell from each, like only one lore activated at each time. So him having all three doesn't make sense, and his skill page doesn't show being able to get all three of those spells at once. They're not even part of his spell list. So I'm guessing is that we have to wait for a little bit more information about that, as that could be different when the game actually comes out. Also, with something new on the bar is a quick up on your screen is that we have a toggle for landing now for flying units, which I find very interesting, and probably some interesting gameplay to do with that in the future. Now we're going to go into some of the abilities that some of the guys have, such as the Iridescent Horror has the ability called Locus of Change. Locus of Change gives armor-piercing missile damage plus 25% and base missile damage plus 25%. This is an area around them, so it'd be interesting to probably have these guys flying over top of your missile units and popping that off every once in a while once they get into range. So, something to look forward to when you use those guys. Kairos' two items that we were able to see is Staff of Tomorrow, which decreases cooldowns by 120 seconds for a duration of 29 seconds. I don't understand why there's a duration of 29 seconds. And also it's an area augment, meaning you can reduce other people's cooldowns, which would probably be really cool. We also have Scroll of Destiny. Scroll of Destiny increases your reserves per second by 0.4, and the duration is 46 seconds. That is increasing your reserves a lot, and it only has one time of use. So I'd say probably get that item. We probably get multiple uses of that item too, considering there's a cooldown associated with it, but we'll see. Now we get into the more interesting stuff, the unit cards. We have Blue Horrors unit cards. I am very interested in these melee units as they are range and more prone to melee. I see that they have physical resistance along with the looks like an icon that tells you demon. It's basically a demon, so it will crumble. Other than that, it has very low armor, alright leadership, not that fast. So thinking Tzeentch will move fast probably is a bad idea. Tzeentch is probably a lot slower. He's more about ambushes, sneaking, and just popping up and not really running away, I guess, because he doesn't have the speed. Melee attack is magical on fire. Ammunition is also magical on fire. They have a low amount of it, as expected. They have a range of 90 though, and missile strength of 21. That is pretty far. Honestly, that is pretty far for a missile unit that doesn't really have that much range. That's not supposed to have that much range and is mostly a melee unit. I think that's farther than chameleon skinks, or not chameleon skinks. That's the range of chameleon skinks. I mean the range of the stalkers, chameleon stalkers. Now let's look at pink horrors. Pink horrors have a range of 130. They have physical resistance. They have pretty good leadership, not that good of armor, but they also have both of their ammunition and melee attack is fire and magical. They have 20 ammunition, and their missile strength is 28. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you incorporate warp fire, and as you will see real quick on your screen, they completely, of 2 units of pink horrors, 2 units of pink exalted pink horrors, and 2 blue horrors, along with maybe some flamers, they completely decimate a unit of ogres. And it's just insanity of the damage. And with that, I'm going right into exalted pink horrors, which are just a better version of pink horrors. Such as pink horrors are a better version of blue horrors. And we're seeing pink horrors, they have 10 more range on top of it. They get a special ability, don't know what it is exactly. Their missile strength is a little bit better. These guys are supposed to be able to out-damage the best range unit of Cathay, or their tier 5 unit of Cathay. And with 33 missile strength, that is incredibly surprising how much missile strength they have. And they have range to back it up. They have melee attack. They can do melee attack. It's very interesting. We'll see how they do. Now let's move on to Forsaken of Tzeentch. These Forsaken have melee attack and magic resistance, which is a change from the horrors we have seen. They have Frenzy, as usual, and they seem just like a pretty good infantry unit. More armor, not that much melee defense. It's just a Forsaken, but Tzeentch style. Alright, so let's move on to the spawns, the Chaos spawns. But they are called Spawns of Tzeentch in this one. They are unbreakable, they just look like they're classic Chaos spawns, so I don't know what else to say, so that's that. Let's look at the Screamers. Screamers are the flying manta rays moving around. They are anti-infantry, armor piercing, with 60 weapon strength, which seems pretty good. They have a low entity count of 16. They're magical. They have magical melee attack, and they have physical resistance, meaning they're probably good early game, throwing them up against stuff that doesn't have magical attack. Now that icon looks like it just means it is flying, or it could mean they have Arcane Conduit. I don't know what the case is. We'll see when the game comes out. They have low armor, speed is good, and it seems like it's your wolf units of other factions, just a better version than the Harpies. Now let's go to Doom Knights of Tzeentch. These guys are the guys that are flying on those saucers. These guys are interesting. They have 100 armor and a shield. They also have that trait, which is flying. I'm pretty sure it's flying. They are 150 speed. Their melee attacks and melee defense seems pretty good. Their weapon strength is pretty alright. I honestly don't see why you not take these guys over Chaos Knights. Like, they don't seem like they lost any stats compared to Chaos Knights. So, but they have low entities of 24 units. Alright, next one is Flamers. Now these guys are probably going to be your bread and butter damage units, as they are amazing. Look at that missile strength. They have armor piercing on those missile strength, and I'm guessing that's warp fire or some debuff, other debuff, and they deal 338 missile strength. They have 90 range, which is insanity to me. These guys, when I saw them in the battle, could hit, it seemed like farther than what Skinks could. I think Skinks are 60 actually, but these guys don't have that much ammo, but hell, I wouldn't care when they go into melee, like with some pink horrors backing them up, or exalted pink horrors, because they still have armor piercing, magical fire damage, and that melee attack, and that debuff, which is probably warp fire, which just increases their damage. So, yeah, that's Flamers of Tzeentch. They have 12 entities. What we do? Exalted Flamers are the interesting ones. They are a single entity, but yet they have 10 ammunition, and their missile strength is 1.4k. What the fuck? These guys will destroy. And since they're single entities, they have the icon where it shows that they can get wounded and they'll deal less damage. Also, they have physical resistance, which is incredible. These guys don't seem like they're good in melee fighting, but they are pretty good at range. Like, all these units so far just seem really good at range, except for melee, except for the Doom Knights and the Forsaken spawns, because they're spawns. Now, let's look at the Soul Grinder. This is the crab leg dude, and he has physical resistance. He's a single entity, but he can throw some spears and just probably rank large units. Yeah, if we're looking at missile strength right now, armor piercing, anti-large, magical, really good. And then its weapon strength is armor piercing and magical. Jesus, this guy seems really good. I can see like a massive Soul Grinder army running around wrecking stuff. Now we get to the heroes of the army. Cultists of Tzeentch. This is a fire mage, of course. I think they're all fire mages, which his stat block seems alright, pretty cool. It's him, I think he was walking, so it didn't matter much. He has some missile resist, he has magical attack as expected. Low stats because he's a hero, not a lord. So, interesting, but not too much. Now we look at the Iridescent Horror. This is the guy, he was flying on I forget what it's called exactly, but the big giant disc he was flying on, which gave him missile strength, which seems really good, ammunition. The range was 130, which is pretty far. I would like to note it wasn't like the flamers shooting fire, it was more like a single projectile being shot out. He has limited ammunition as expected, but that weapon strength and the melee attack's kind of iffy, but that weapon strength, if he does hit, he hits you. The speed's pretty alright. So, he also has magic, so I don't see a problem here. This has been a real quick breakdown of everything I've seen in the video. I could have missed some stuff. If you see more stuff, let me write it down in the comments. Actually, don't let me don't just type to me, type to let everyone know who watches this video. If you want to see the Ogres unit cards, I have put out another video for that, but I would say watch Oakley's video a little bit more, because he did a good job and showed a lot more than I did, and you could probably pick that part apart a little bit more. So yeah, this has been me, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.